Hey everyone, today I'm going to review the new film called Detroit. It's the newest film from Kathryn Bigelow, and it's kind of almost a pseudo-sequel to her previous two films, Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30, because all three of these films hone in on real-life events and try to uncover the underlying elements of human nature that influence them. This film in particular deals with the 1967 Detroit riots, where Detroit police officers tried to break up this party thus commemorating the return home of these two black Vietnam War veterans, and it didn't go well, and it led to 5 days of looting, destruction, and unfortunately a great deal of police brutality. It ignited these racial tensions that were already at an all-time high. After the animated slideshow that opens the film, where audiences are given this crash course on African American history post-Civil War, we're then introduced to this large cast of characters that all have their own plot lines going on alongside the main events of the film. But they're all eventually going to converge at the Algiers Motel, which is the setting of one of the most infamous and violent events during the riots. The incident at the Algiers is really the centerpiece of Detroit. The film is almost divided up into 3 acts. There's before the motel, there's during the motel, and then finally the aftermath. And this leads to my primary issue with the film, which is that the screenplay, the way it's written, feels paradoxical. The film has these grand ambitions about race in America and the message it wants to convey, but at the same time, it devotes so much of its content to the timeline of a single night, and it almost distracts from what its real goal seems to be. But then on the other hand, when the film gets into the specifics of the motel incident, and we get to see the incredible performances from John Boyega and Anthony Mackie and Will Poulter, really, the acting is pretty impressive in this film. Those are the moments where Detroit felt the most powerful, and those are the moments where I experienced the greatest impact. But then there are those times where the film loses all sense of subtlety, and while it still managed to really shake me, it didn't have the same effect just because of how straightforward and blunt it was. The film does make the excellent and really truly necessary choice of linking the events to those of the even more distant past and those of the here and now. There's a lot of Gestapo, Nazi-ish parallels with the way these Detroit police officers are playing these mental games with their victims. And at the same time, all you have to do is look at the news nowadays to see how this relates to our current reality. The problems this film presents are not a relic of the past. They've been around, they're still around, and I believe this film could have the power to move people to action. I will say though, that the level and quantity of violence in this film is definitely hard to stomach. I understand what the filmmakers were going for, which is to show us what really happened that night. And it's difficult to judge because this might be a story that just needs to be seen like this. However, not everything translates well to film. It's a really sensitive medium, and things can easily tip out of the sweet spot. And unfortunately, that's the case here. What really elevates this film, though, is the strong direction from Kathryn Bigelow. She is one of the finest directors working today, and we need more voices like hers. She brings to this project the laser-sharp focus, the depth of humanity, and the documentarian aspects that you might have seen in much of her previous work. Even Mark Bull's screenplay is commendable in its own way. He's a working journalist, and there's this sense of truth that travels through the film where you can tell he wants to do right by all participants. But the screenplay drags consistently, especially in the middle half, and without Kathryn Bigelow, this could have been a complete mess. Although I have to say I left Detroit a little disappointed, I still was very, very moved. And I still think this is a film that people should go and see, if only for their own education, and a reminder that even though things do change, a lot of things unfortunately stay the same. I'm going to give Detroit a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching, everyone. As usual, my Twitter handle will be over here. If you feel like it, follow me on Twitter, dislike this video, subscribe to my channel maybe, and I'm gonna have more content coming up soon, so I'll see you later.